Welcome back, guys. This is Maverick here with episode 27 of ReZero. So last episode, we learned what exactly happened to Rim. So she unfortunately came into contact with some other Sin Archbishops, most specifically Gluttony, who is the cause of all these problems. Not only her, but also Karush as well. And unfortunately for Subaru, this is an instance where his ability is not going to work. Resetting, returning by death, whatever you want to call it, since the save point has already updated past the point where he can do anything about it, right? Now, I guess the fortunate thing out of all this is that Rim and Karush are both only, somewhat disabled, but not yet dead, right? In Karush's case, people's memories of her, is still intact, although she has lost memories of herself. Whereas in Rim's case, well, it's both ways. People lost memories of her, and she herself is entirely unconscious, and probably doesn't know who she is either. Except for Subaru, which, might be a key to all this, right? So it's all nice and all that Subaru got all fired at the end of last episode to wanting to save Rim in some way, shape, and form. How exactly is he gonna do that, right? Now, personally, I would probably start with trying to find Gluttony, and even if maybe killing him isn't going to bring Rim back, maybe try to ask him like what is needed in order to bring her back. Sure, the villain has no reason to tell us, but hey, villains are villains, they're typically stupid, right? So I wouldn't be too surprised if that were the case. On the other hand, Subaru is the only one who still knows of Rim, so perhaps that is a clue here as to how Rim's situation can be reversed. Is that true or not? Well, we'll have to rely on the characters themselves telling us. Let's get right to it. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. So I guess this guy is coming along now. No, she's coming back as well. Two months. Don't raise any flags, Subaru. Okay. At least you're self-aware. Can't hold a girl's hand? Alright. Of course you're gonna meet again. You're all candidates. Well, he did already confess to you. This dude certainly turned out to be a bigger, a much more major character than I was anticipating. By the way, this is a big ass carriage. Like it's like a room in here. I wonder how Ram's taking all this. I haven't heard from her since. Now this is certainly interesting. Hmm. Oh yeah, Beatrice is still here. Why do I get the feeling that there's danger right? Hmm. My danger senses are tingling now. For you. Really? Okay. You left a letter? Wow. By the way, do you know where the sanctuary is? Beatrice? Yeah. Good job. That beast. Left me behind. Juice? Wait, Juice? Betelgeuse? So does this mean that Beatrice is formerly of the witch cult as well? Huh. There's a sanctuary that basement place. Right, she knows? Allowed to be? I'm not quite sure he's allowed to be. Well, Emilia wasn't able to tell, so. Garfield? What the hell kind of adventure are we going on now? What is? Well, it does suit her, I gotta say. Maybe it's because of the hairstyle. All for the sake of love. You lady killer, you. Zolfin, the strong will. Okay. It's like a good, yeah, good luck. Hmm. Hmm. I think that little handkerchief might come into play later on. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for this specific scene. A test of Roswell, eh? This is seriously a huge carriage. Hmm. Are we gonna meet some elves now? Oh, I think they're past the barrier. The hell? I guess this might be the start of the trial, or whatever it's called. Hmm. This is actually turning into an adventure here. Okay. Um, the Witch of... What? Wait, the Witch of Greed? Not the Witch of Envy, the Witch of Greed. Damn. I thought... Okay, so... Huh? Satala devoured all the other witches, right? Wait, we've met the Archbishop of Greed. And by the way, is this supposed to be the opening? Ooh. Okay, Suzuki Konami. Realize. Oof. Looks like Subaru's gonna get beat up in this season as well. Sure. Alrighty, that was episode 27, and boy, are things getting interesting here, right? Now, I think it's safe to say right now that this entire sanctuary thingamajig is something that Roswell set up to be as a sort of test for Emilia or maybe or Subaru, right? I think that much is obvious. Now, what exactly the test consists of and whatnot, that remains to be seen, right? I figure from what we saw here that this current situation that Subaru is in is probably some kind of dream world or whatnot, courtesy of that jewel or whatnot that that was given to them. And so that's why apparently here he can meet even someone named Echidna, who is supposedly the Witch of Greed, right? So we've met the Archbishop of Greed before. That was in last episode alongside the Archbishop of Gluttony. But the Witch of Greed? Now, I seem to recall people telling me, and well, it was mentioned back in season 1, right? That apparently Satella, the Witch of Envy, managed to devour all the other witches and observe them into her or something of that sort, to gain power, right? Then again, is that actually true, right? Because the only evidence that we have of that is some sort of folklore, some kind of legend that's been passed on, as some children's tale or something like that, some children's story. So it very well could be the case that that's not actually what happened, and perhaps all the other witches were just sealed away in some sort of way or manner, or perhaps they are still active as well, right? We don't really know. We can only know through these sort of legends, right? And legends have there's a pretty good chance that they might be wrong or something, right? We can't really tell at this moment in time. Now, with that being said, though, this is something that I've been thinking of ever since we first learned of Satella the Witch and everything, and that is that everything that we've learned about her, about this supposed witch, is through hearsay, right? We haven't actually seen firsthand, what she herself did, or any evidence of her doing anything, right? Sure, there's all these archbishops and whatnot, sin archbishops that are apparently acting in her name or something like that, and yet, from last episode, or sorry, not last episode, from the end of season 1, we can clearly see that Betelgeuse does not really personally know the witch either, right? The Witch of Envy. They haven't really met before. She doesn't recognize him, and he, I don't think, has ever met her before either. So can you really say that they are acting directly on the witch's orders? I don't know. They could be just overtly fanatical fans, right, who are interpreting the situation in their own methods and whatnot. So I don't know. Let's just say that I'm taking this entire situation with the witch with a grain of salt, and I'll believe it when I see it, right? So what I'm saying here is I'm not sure if I believe that this witch is some big evil villain helping on gaining power and destroying the world and whatnot. We've seen no direct evidence of it. Sure, it seems kind of creepy that every time Subaru tries to tell others about his ability, that you got these evil-looking tentacle arms or whatnot reaching out and basically cursing him or whatnot, or even those around him, right, like Emilia. And yet, I don't know, because if you really do say that in itself is evil and whatnot, why allow Subaru to have this ability in the first place, right? Why allow him to have this sort of reset ability? And I'm pretty sure that he has this ability because of the witch, right? It's probably also why that he carries the witch's scent on him. And indeed, I think even the fact that, just the entire beginning of this series, where he was pulled into this world from his original world, I think that was done by the witch as well. So I don't know. All I'm saying here is that I'm not entirely sure if I believe that the witch is this big evil character and whatnot. And perhaps, these legends, they are only half truths, right? There might be some lies within them, some misunderstandings and whatnot. I would definitely not be surprised by that, considering that one of the main characters of the series, Emilia herself, is quite misunderstood by the people of this world, right? So it could be a tale of that. Not to mention, we certainly see Echidna seems rather nice at first glance. Obviously, this is only first impressions and whatnot. She could turn out to be like a completely sadistic, evil character later on, but we'll see about that, right? And even in the opening, we do see the sort of shroud of darkness surrounding the shadow on Subaru being sort of flung away. Now we actually see the witch herself there in a sort of form here, right? So I think as we go for more and more forward here, we might learn or uncover more and more of the real truth about this. And I have my suspicion that it's quite different from what folklore or what the legend has to say about her here. And I mean, heck, maybe perhaps it's going to be like another certain work dealing with witches and magical girls and whatnot, aka Madoka Magica, and perhaps the witches that are mentioned here are just some unfortunate byproducts of some well-intentioned wielders of magical power, right? You never know here. You never know. And if not, all that was not enough, we also have the situation with Beatrice, right? And clearly we can see that she is, well, first of all, they call her the Great Spirit. I mean, I guess I'm not too surprised about that, whatever that means. She's clearly not quite human, right? Since she has this sort of affinity with Puck, I mean, sure, whatever. That's not too important here. I think that what surprised me even more is the supposed relationship and knowledge that she has in regards to the witch's cult, and apparently this thing called the witch's factor, right? So we can clearly see that Beatrice herself knows of Betelgeuse, and perhaps they were even friends or whatnot, considering that she seemed sad when she mentioned his name. I'm assuming that the Betelgeuse, or whatever it is that she called him, is referring to the Archbishop of Sloth there. And who knows? Perhaps Beatrice herself used to work with Betelgeuse, or perhaps even was working alongside the witch as well, or perhaps she knows some of the real truth behind all this, and consequently is not going to be like, oh, all witches must die and so on and so forth, right? I think that is definitely something that we will continue to learn more and more about, perhaps right in the next episode with Subaru's talk with Ekidona, although how calm Subaru is actually going to be in that conversation, I don't know. I kind of have my doubts about that, but we shall see. Beyond all that, what else in this episode? I guess we have Petra and the sort of handkerchief that she gave to Subaru at the end there. I'm assuming that that's going to play a crucial role coming up later on. Perhaps it's going to remind Subaru of something important, get him out of a bind, or something of that sort, right? In any case, I do think that's something to take note of, and it's probably going to come up in the future as well. Beyond that, well, yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I mean, do understand, guys, that a lot of these things, I do my musings, my discussion sessions, just based on all the information that I have from the anime, right? I don't really go back and read the light novels whilst I am watching the anime, so I can only do what I consider logical deductions or whatnot, or some hypothesis in regards to what is happening at hand, right? And not to say that I want you guys to spoil me or anything. Indeed, I do wish to avoid spoilers if possible. I know that a lot of people here are probably reading a light novel and whatnot. It's not really, I mean, I totally admit that a lot of times my guesses are going to be wrong, right? But that's part of the reason why I do this, and it's part of the fun part to me of doing this. So, you know, don't go into this with the attitude of, oh, I already know what's gonna happen, you're shit, you're all wrong, your reasoning is wrong and whatnot. You know, we can have some interesting discussions and fury back and forth here without resorting to that. And I mean, it's what I do on all my videos as well, so hopefully you guys who are watching so far, you know, watching my musing sections, can appreciate that as well. And if not, well, then again, you are welcome to just skip the entire musing section and just watch a blind reaction instead. But yeah, anyways, that was episode 27 of ReZero Season 2. I'll see you guys next week as well. Things are really getting interesting here, so stay tuned, and bye-bye.